What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena, alongside my brother, Mr. Michael Carrot. We were going to jump on after the Steelers-Browns game, but the way things are looking, I just figured we might as well just come on here and get the job done right now. Listen, it's only halftime. I get that. We've seen crazier things happen because of 2020, but at the very least, we had to talk about this. I mean, I picked the Browns much like you did, Mike, to upset the Steelers, but not like this. 35-10. Not like this.
No, I mean, it's one of those things where, you heard all week long they haven't practiced. But the thing that always cracks me up about this, you hear it this time of year, Eric, you actually hear it probably from even before, obviously COVID, but even before, they changed up the off-season workouts and how much teams can practice and contact. But most coaches, I mean, usually at 10, man, they're hardly going in pads anyway. Like what? They forgot how to play, they forgot how to play in pads, they forgot how to tackle. I mean, yes, all season long tackling hasn't looked the best, but yeah, no, to this game, I mean, it's one of those things where, okay, it's the playoffs. Yeah, I mean, for repetition and chemistry, you'd like to get back on the field, considering obviously a ton of those guys for Cleveland were out last week because of COVID. You see Jarvis Landry back on the field. I mean, he hasn't, but I mean, it's just crazy the way it started out. But hey, good for the Browns, man. I mean, I picked them more so because of obviously not wanting Pittsburgh to win, but the fact that they got to the playoffs by beating a Pittsburgh team who, again, had they played everybody, could have sent them home. But even with the way Pittsburgh's playing, Eric, like I'm sorry, and Cleveland has a lot to do with that. So you know me, I'm not making excuses. There's 11 other dudes across the line from them on both sides, obviously. So I don't think it would have done Pittsburgh any good. And it's one of those things where if you're Baker Mayfield and the Browns, like you just keep going. Like they're not letting up. And considering they get the ball first and all that good stuff. So it's insane. I mean, happy for the people of Cleveland, but like I said in the text, man, all kidding aside, like if there's one team that could botch this outside of the Lions, it would be the Browns.
No, I got you. Listen, and I'm totally there with you on this, Mike. Like I said, it's only halftime. Anything is possible. But I mean, as we sit here watch this game, you hit the nail on the head. And my man Jarrell from Jarrell's Journal, who may be joining us, said it. This team is not slowing down. No. As I texted a Browns fan earlier because they was like, "Can you believe this is happening?" I said, "This is 18 years of frustration being released on Heinz Field."
But Eric, and we gave Alex a hard time, but I mean, all trash talking, and of course, obviously, as protagonist, you want to get your pick right. But you even said it when he first said that they weren't relevant, or however Alex phrased it.
Mike, I'm so glad you brought that up.
No, but here's the thing.
Mike, hold on. Let's go to the video. Thank you, Mike, for bringing that up. See, I love how great minds. Here's the video. How do you fix Pittsburgh so that this doesn't happen?
Number one, this game's over. Cleveland can't stop the run. Number two, Cleveland can't stand up the pit because they don't have enough corners. This game's over. Let's not talk about Cleveland. Let's talk about relevant teams. Pittsburgh.
How is Cleveland not a relevant team?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
They're 9-3. How are they not relevant?
How you fix the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Not relevant? How are they
They're not relevant because you can't stop the pass, and against Baltimore, you can't stop the run.
Jake,
Baltimore can make the playoffs, and they can beat you twice. Pittsburgh can already beat you twice. Cleveland is not a viable team for the Super Bowl.
They won't
be able to stop Kansas City. They can't beat Pittsburgh, and they're losing to Baltimore.
I didn't say that.
All right.
I didn't say Super Bowl.
I'm giving you reasons. Whether you choose to listen or not, that's up to you. I gave you reasons.
I'm talking about
they can't stop the run. They don't have enough corners. Let's talk about real teams. Back to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They are 9-3. How are they not a real team?
If record doesn't mean a damn thing.
Okay. All right.
Record doesn't mean a thing.
Record doesn't mean anything. They're just 9-3 right now.
Record doesn't mean one thing.
Okay. Right there.
Record does mean a thing because if you don't win, you don't go to the playoffs. So inevitably, look, their offensive line, and I think even before that, like you and I had talked even early on about Cleveland, because that was the thing. And I think I said in one of our earlier broadcasts to you, like, how does a an average team become a good team. Well, you start beating the teams that, and as much as I hate this phrase, but that on paper people feel that you're better than you should beat. Well, you're a good team when you do that. You become a great team when you beat the teams that should beat you or equal to or should beat you. Then you start becoming a great team. Look, Baker Mayfield under Kevin Stefanski, and to me, that was the voice in the room. That was the biggest difference to me. And I love Mike Zimmer, as you know, but in Minnesota. But you look at what Cleveland's done all year, and they've gotten better. Yes, week 1, they've got absolutely boated by the Ravens. Yes, when they played Pittsburgh earlier there in Pittsburgh in Heinz Field, it was 38-7 or 38-10 was the final. Whatever it was, they got blasted, right? So then they lose to the Ravens on an epic Monday night game to show, okay, and you and I were like, all right, maybe they are right there. And again, not to win the AFC, but again, they can take that step. Well, 35-10, and they're crushing the Steelers. So if you're Kevin Stefanski, I mean, yes, it sucks he's in his basement with his phone off.
Hey, Mike,
Planet Cleveland watching.
That brother is probably going to remain in his basement with the phone off if this is how Cleveland's going to play. Let me just go on and say that, man.
But I was going to say real quick with the offensive line. I mean, they've done it with their offensive line. That was the whole point of this. Like everybody talked about, even Alex. We all talked about Chubb and Hunt. I mean, Hunt's got the touchdowns tonight, but Chubb's running all over the place too. Like we talked about the running game. You don't get a running game, as you and I both know, without an offensive line. They're dinged up. They lost. They lost 2 more guys tonight. One of them still in the locker room, I heard, for a hamstring. There was Tiller or whatever. And then I don't know if their other lineman came back. But either way, that being said, like you do it with an offensive line that can run the ball. Baker Mayfield's made the right plays. One pass maybe should have been picked. Outside of that, he's been spot on. They're running the ball. They're being physical. And that's how you, again, like I said last week, all coaches say, if you can't run the ball and you can't stop the run in the playoffs, you're not winning. Well, they're running the ball.
Ain't that Pittsburgh's mantra? Don't they got that hanging up in the wall
and
somewhere?
And Pittsburgh can't run the ball since week 10. So
let me go ahead and get my man from Jarrell's Journal, the future, Dr. Jarrell Haslip in here, man. Hey. Jarrell, what's going on, brother, man? Thank you for joining us.
Thank y'all for having me. How you doing, Mike? I hope all is well. What's going on, Eric?
Man, I'm good. How are you? I'm just happy the Bills won, dog. I mean, to Eric, I know that's Eric's sleeper point. I'm not even doing it because of the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry to rub it in. I figured that would be a close game. But honestly, that last no call of not a fumble was a joke because Poyer made the most – look, you can train as a defensive back. I could train probably 1,000,000 times to let you jump up and not touch you, but it's in your inherent DNA to touch somebody when they're down. He let him stand up, and he ripped that ball away. I mean, that was a pathetic no call. But look, Bills Mafia gets to celebrate. Oh, I can't wait to whoever they get to. If they play Baltimore next week, it's over for Baltimore. Anyway,
let me just say this before I let Jarrell get in. Let's think about it like this: Baltimore, they won their game. So Lamar Jackson, congrats to him. He won his first playoff game. Tampa ain't seen a playoff since 2007. They're moving on to the next round. They won their playoff game. The Saints, who have been screwed many years over, finally beat a team. They beat the Bears, but the Bears didn't really show up in this one. They won their playoff game. I'm just saying right now, look at the trend, gentlemen. And now we have this. So, Jarrell, come on, man. Let me get your thoughts on Pittsburgh, Cleveland so far, brother.
I didn't. Hey, we talked about this earlier, Mike, and it was so funny that
we talked about it.
Oh my goodness! And it's so funny that you had the actual clip of you and Alex.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you knew Eric was going to save that, Jarrell. And I would have saved it too because Alex, as many great points as he makes, he was outside his mind on that one.
And I definitely had no thoughts of, especially with all the. Like I mentioned earlier, COVID hitting the team, the coaching, I thought, it's a big part of your play and how you operate as a team. So I didn't think, I thought, Pittsburgh had the upper hand in that area. Coming out, a lot of, the fumbles, the turnovers, the interceptions. I would never predict. I think I called it backwards on your show previously. I think I said 34 to 17. They came out and scored 28 off the before first half. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And this is my thing. You knew that this was a different game when two guys who have played together This isn't like a brand new center or a backup third string quarterback. This is Marquise Pouncey and Ben Roethlisberger. And the very first snap and Cleveland scores, I said 14 seconds. 14 seconds was all it took for Cleveland to say, we here. It's like little brother busted in big brother's room, took his PS5 controller and said, I'm coming back for the rest.
Absolutely.
You know what's scary? You know what's scary? I'm looking at Baker Mayfield on the sideline, though. Even though they're up 35-10 with the turnovers every time he scores, he has a killer Kobe mentality looking on him. That's kind of scary. The focus that he's showing right now, I really like it. This is not the Baker Mayfield we've seen, in previous years.
Yeah, and he's been very cocky in previous years, Terrell. And again, to get to the NFL at that point, I mean, it becomes a fine line between being cocky and being confident.
And the number one draft pick.
Right. But to get there and succeed, I mean, again, not that you expect him to be, a number one pick or whatever, to be an ass to every person. But that being said, like, do I think at times he got the short end of the stick? Yes. Do I think that he did it to himself and he deserved it because of how he acted? Sure, both can be right. But you're right. The way he's playing, he's got that look. He's over there. They're making adjustments. But, man, I will say this, too, for Cleveland. When you have an all-pro offensive lineman that, like you said, already couldn't make the trip for COVID, and I was talking about that before, and then you get banged up and you're still pushing the Steelers' defense around. Plus, I was scouring Twitter because remember when the Broncos played the Seahawks in the Super Bowl and the first score was a safety? Some dude made that bet every year, and I think he won like over $500,000 because the first score in the Super Bowl was a safety. So I was trying to see like if anybody had like the first score of Browns and Steelers being a defensive touchdown caused by a bad snap. I didn't see anything on Twitter. But again, that just started out like that for the Browns, and they didn't let up, and they're not letting up. And again, so I can't wait to hear Alex's reasons why they're how they're not relevant, how they're still not relevant, Eric, because I think you need to go on a victory tour, my friend.
Oh, I'm just telling you, if this game ends with the way it is right now and Cleveland wins, I'm putting out an APB for Alex Fleming. I'm telling you right now. I'm putting out an APB for him if this game ends the way that it's going, because you're right. I made sure I found that video, and y'all know me. I was working the controls like, okay, now I got to get this. Hey, real talk, Jarrell, stick around for a second. I got to show some love to my brother Byron, who actually is a Cleveland fan. AS365, dropping my new merch. Be back with the Sports Arena, and we got a guy, my man Joe Carlino, is going to join us here. Give me about a minute. Back on the Sports Arena with your man Eric Wilson here, alongside my brother Michael Carrot-Tenuto. Jarrell had to step out for a minute, but I do want to bring in my brother from the DTSN Falcons, Mr. Joe Carlino. Joe, what's up, man? How are you?
Like all of America, I am probably pretty shocked at what we're watching right now.
Like, not me. I picked them.
Some of us are. Some of us are not. I am not surprised that the score is that the Cleveland Browns are winning. I'll say it like that. I am surprised at the score. That is what I will say to you. 35-10. I figured this would be a lot closer. But Joe, let me get your thoughts on what you've seen so far in this game. Now that we're 2.5 quarters in.
Well, I will say this: I had my brother rewind it because I was busy, taking care of my dogs. They were, having a little bit of a kerfuffle in a sense, and one of them is actually just walking into my room right now, my husky. But I had my brother, so he was like, "Did you see what happened?" And I was like, "No, what?" And he was like, "The first play of the game was a fumble recovered by Cleveland." I was like, "You're kidding." And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Rewind it. Let me see this." And I was like, "Wow, Pouncey was actually able to oversail a 6'4" quarterback in Big Ben." Although I want to say that height is misleading. Is Big Ben really like only 6'4"? Is Matthew Stafford taller than him?
Maybe by an inch or two, but that's really about it.
I've met them both.
I thought he was 6'5",
Roethlisberger, I'd say, is a little bit taller.
Okay.
Roethlisberger's a little bit taller, but still 6'4", plus you figure arms, so that's like almost going over what? Somebody that's like 7'3", and Pouncey. I mean, come on, man. None of you fall over, but I actually long snapped in high school, and to launch it over. I mean, granted, I wasn't online, but every now and then with our quarterback, I would deliver shotgun snaps, and I'm telling you, like, it's something you can do, but for the most part, people usually burn them along the grass. So to pop up like that and launch it like 7 feet in the air, and Myles Garrett, I mean, Eric, I wish they would have showed his eyes with this helmet as he's running it down, and Roethlisberger's like tap dancing to see if Connor's going to jump on it, and Connor, like, what was that jump down? Like, he went at an angle behind the ball, jumped on the ball.
Right.
In all fairness, it probably helped out because, by him doing what he did, it actually allowed the ball to officially roll into the end zone. Otherwise, it would have been at the 1 yard line. So it's like, well, maybe it was all part of the plan.
All right. While this game's at commercial right now, let's talk about the 2 other games that happened really fast. And again, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining on here tonight. Michael Carrot-Tenuto, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast, Jarrell Heslip, Jarrell Journals podcast, the future Dr. Jarrell Heslip, and of course, one of the guys I do the pop-up shop with, and Mr. Carlino from the DTSN. So give me your thoughts on what a lot of people could say are 2 of the most very similar teams in the Tennessee Titans and the Baltimore Ravens. What were your guys' thoughts on that matchup? Let me go to you, Jarrell.
So watching it, I thought Baltimore started off very slow, and that's what I wanted to know how they would react. Coming in, they didn't look comfortable. After that run by Lamar, oh my goodness, it was like the motivation and the momentum shift. I thought Tannehill did pretty good. He managed the game. He made some nice throws, especially to I can't think of number 11's name in the end zone on that post route. But the offense didn't look too bad. I was very stunned that they held Henry to 40 yards. 40 yards. I saw a lot of frustration from Henry on the sideline as well. I also saw him getting into it with the coach. So I don't know what that was about, but I'm glad. I like that Baltimore won. We gave that a toss up anyway. It was going to be a any given game, but deserving win for Ravens. I'm glad Lamar got it.
Yeah, Joe, what do you think?
Well, to answer Jarrell's question first, 11, AJ Brown.
AJ Brown.
Yeah,
okay.
AJ Brown. Okay.
Yeah, to answer his question there, because I know AJ Brown. He's been like a real. Everybody knows he's DK Metcalf's younger, less buff brother with no relation,
and he's still pretty buff.
Yeah, still pretty buff. Much more buff than all 4 of us. But going off of the game, it was definitely back and forth for a while because really both teams weren't necessarily breaking free in a sense, if you know what I mean. Like they weren't really. Again, like Jarrell said, holding Derrick Henry to 40 yards after he just got $2,000, and none of his offensive linemen were even named to the All-Pro team, or I don't even think any of them were named to the Pro Bowl. So it's like, I don't know what happened there, if there was a little bit of miscommunication. There were definitely a lot of, blitzes and sacks. And just watching that run by Lamar, I don't think we've seen a run like that since Vic. I really don't think we've seen a run like that since
that
Vic.
wasn't even Lamar's best run ever, though. Jim Harbaugh said it.
John Harbaugh said that was his best run.
Thank you. John Harbaugh said it was his best run ever. Sorry, Joe, but like that, I was gonna get to that. That completely baffled me, guys, because the run he had against Cincinnati last year, which locked up the MVP when he did that, when he spun and literally didn't barely break stride, and the guy was just, the defender just looked like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm not slow, and I had him tackled, and he spun and went in for a touchdown. Like, to me, that, look, it was a sick run, because I will say it like this, because on the broadcast they were talking about how he doesn't even have to slow down to make jukes, and I'm like, whatever. And then you see the replay, and it's like, my God, he planted outside, and like he didn't, like, again, like that's why even like going back to last year when they were saying, oh, if the Patriots see him again, they're going to beat him, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know the Patriots are going to find somebody that can run a 4.2 in the time that, because nobody can catch him. Like, and his passes were there, but yeah, for if you're the Ravens, I mean, look, my guy, because Eric, you know I love him, Calais Campbell's, and the guy the Cardinals never should have let go. Yes, I understand in free agency you can't pay everybody, but they chose to let a few go, and then he goes to Jacksonville, and they're an inadvertent whistle against the crap-ass Patriots away from going to the Super Bowl with Calais Campbell, and then now he goes to Baltimore, a city that lives and breathes for defensive football, which I love, and they were daring. And I think that was Derrick Henry's frustration you guys are talking about, because they've shown that shot a million times of Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel talking, and Derrick Henry has his helmet off and is just completely annoyed, because what kind of NFL team usually plays with 5 down linemen? Like, in this day and age, like, you're not doing it. Even if a team is known for running the ball, you'll at least dance your backers around, give them a different look, try and, but they're daring Tannehill to throw the ball, which, to Joe's point, didn't throw it bad. I mean, he threw it well. The interception, the dude fell down. And if he looks to the left, he may have a touchdown of his own. We might be talking about an overtime game. Yeah. So, because A.J. Brown, to the point, A.J. Brown had put his hand up. He beat his guy within 4 steps. He's got his hand up. You got to see the one-on-one. You got to give him the ball. But, look, if you're Baltimore, it was a hell of a game plan. Lamar Jackson, again, that run was sick. Look, if Harbaugh wants to say it's his best ever, cool. I still don't think it beats the Cincinnati run last year where he just made the guy look stupid.
Well, I think a lot of this was personal too. You got to understand, like we talked about it on the pop-up shop earlier. It was the fact that, now Baltimore had an opportunity for a little bit of retribution and they got it. So, gentlemen, let's talk about to the game that we kind of all knew what was going to go down. And I have to ask this question, and I want to get all your gentlemen's take on it. Have we seen the last of not only Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago, but have we seen the last of Matt Nagy? Joe, let me ask you.
Matt Nagy, yes. Mitchell Trubisky, I want to give it that last year. I want to see what he can do if they choose to. Does he have one more year before the option, or it would?
No, they didn't renew it. They didn't take it, so they'd have to sign him to a short-term deal. Basically, he can test the waters after this year.
Okay, I'd give a 1-year prove-it deal, but I would probably let Nagy go. I will preface this though. I did watch. I don't know if you guys did it, but I watched the game from the Nickelodeon broadcast. And it honestly wasn't as bad as I think most of us were anticipating. I grew up watching Nickelodeon. I grew up watching all those.
You just wanted to get slimed, Joe. You wanted to get slimed.
Yeah. Honestly, and then they posted like name your top 5 Nick shows of all time. I was like, my God, there are so many. Like, especially because I'm 24. I grew up in the heart of the good Nickelodeon shows, especially the game shows. Legends of the Hidden Temple, Guts, Figure It Out, Double Dare. I had all those shows, and those were reruns.
Yeah, see, I had it the original because I'm 44, yes. So I had the original. I had You Can't Do That on Television. I had the original Double Dare.
Yes.
Yeah. So
the original Double Dare. Yeah.
Get the Picture.
I had them all, but. So, all right. So I'll say this, and then Darrell, I definitely want to get you to chime in. I'm thinking that they both are gone. I think with Matt Nagy, it's been such a roller coaster of a season, which they talked about in the broadcast, how this team at one point was, top the NFC North, and they lost a couple, then they came back. And I'm just like, his play calling today, I think, to me, showed that he didn't want to be there anymore. And that's why I say I think Trubisky, is gone. I think that Matt Nagy also is gone. You've got to get a coach in there because you are losing time on the talents of Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Allen Robinson, David Montgomery. You're losing weapons right now on both sides of the ball. Chicago should be in a dogfight each and every year with Green Bay for that NFC North crown with the teams, like we said, Mike, on paper, who look to be, solid. But then I look at the coaches. And Matt LaFleur is someone who I didn't even really know what he was capable of, but you have Aaron Rodgers. So I'm like, okay, I get it. So I'm looking at Matt Nagy and I'm saying, you've got this young kid. And I was high on Trubisky when he first came out. Not anymore. So I say they both are gone. Jarrell, what say you? And then Mike, I'll let you go.
I think it's a similar situation how we had in Carolina. I definitely think the head coach should be out. But with a new head coach, you want to bring in your guy. Trubisky, he did some things that might have saved him a job. But if you get another head coach in, is that the guy that you want to build your team around? Now, what I do think they need to do in Chicago is get rid of clean house offensively. Running back, I would change. I don't have any faith in Singletary. Get your guy in that you want as a quarterback, as your leader, as your general. If it's not going to be Matt, Trubisky, get who you need to get in there and build that offensive line. Let's rebuild that offense. But if to answer your point, I think Trubisky did enough to save his job this year. But it depends on who's going to come in. I do think the head coaches, and the coaching staff might, change up.
I was kind of with that, Jarrell, because Eric knows. Like I was saying, you start 5-1, and then you punch the Bucks in the mouth, and Tom Brady doesn't know what down it is because he's been getting hit so much in that game because they just the defense just crushed him. But here's the thing, and I've been on. I always kind of take the wait and see, and the one thing that got me, I remember the double doink because obviously Eric loved that play in Chicago when they missed the field goal to advance in the playoffs. The Bears at the end. But that being said, he's been on the play through 3 years. They don't have a losing record. Now, again, I get everybody's reaction, and I was a part of it. I mean, if this is Adam Gase, I'm not saying like don't even wait till the season ends. But when you look at what Trubisky did the last few weeks with Matt Nagy not calling plays too, because he gave up the play calling, which I think was a little bit fresh and it worked out well for Trubisky. But I do agree with you, Jarrell. I think you run it back with them both. You give Trubisky a 1 year, like Joe said, a 1 year prove it deal. And and Matt Nagy, obviously, he comes back. They don't get it done next year. And like to Eric's point, with that defense alone, you should be challenging. I mean, and Eric, you forgot to mention Akeem Hicks. I know there's so many, but you forgot to mention Hicks too in the middle. So
you're right. I did. My apologies.
There's so many, and it's always been like that for the Bears. I mean, you look at the defense and you're like, gosh, if the offense could just do something. I think Trubisky does have it. I like Allen Robinson. They were down a few receivers. I get it. They weren't going to beat the Saints even if they were there. Although I will say the catch of the game, last play or not, the defense was there. Jimmy Graham had the catch of the week.
Oh, yeah.
Hands down. That was disgusting.
It didn't mean anything, but it was definitely going to be a top 10.
And I did like the Bo Jackson runoff into the locker room. That was perfect. But I again, as much I can see both sides, but I just think you see it through with Nagy. You brought him in for that reason. You bring Trubisky back again on like a Cam Newton kind of deal. I mean, the money's probably going to be a little bit more. But you bring Trubisky back on a 1 year deal and but to your point, like that offensive line needs to be like definitely like buffered up up to say the least, because it's that's the thing that kills me, because defensively, I mean, they can punch the Lions in the mouth. They can punch the Vikings in the mouth. And then it's the Packers. Right. And it's like the Packers, you can run the ball on them, but if you don't control it, like sooner or later, Aaron Rodgers will move the ball in that defense. It's just how it is.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to our man, John Shear, Journey with the Jays. He said, it doesn't seem that Allen Robinson's going to come back. So again, he might be looking to go to greener pastures. So That's what I'm saying to you. This team, as currently constructed, was missing something. That's why I say you have to get rid of Matt Nagy, because Chicago needs to be, they are, and they can be a force. We're just not seeing it, and it's disappointing. It really is. But
you're right.
I'm telling you
Like
right
I said,
now.
I see both sides. I can see if you run it back one more year, but if you run it back, you can't. At week 8, you can't be like, okay, we're firing them, or we're gonna, do this, because then you're throwing away the season. And people in the city of Chicago, the Bears fans are not going to deal with that. So, but I can see both sides. If the guys out there, bring in your stuff, man. Let's run it out. You don't have to worry about changing the defense.
And one thing you want to do is keep Allen Robinson and make him happy.
Yes.
Get some things around him and support him. I think they got another guy from North Carolina A&T that's been on their roster for 2 years. Tariq Cohen.
Tariq Cohen, yes.
Tariq Cohen is a freaking highlight, a human highlight, and they didn't utilize him as they should. They gave him a little time his rookie season, but no love in his sophomore year, and now he's hurt. But you got a couple jewels on the offensive side that you can do some things around. And I see Pittsburgh just score finally.
Yeah. So gentlemen, we gonna end this because we getting down to the nitty gritty, as they say. This is going to come down to the fourth quarter, and I don't want to keep you guys on here because I want everybody, all of us, to watch and enjoy this. We got a little more than like 15 and change for Cleveland to pull this out. So I want to see, and this is what I said on the pop-up shop again. This is that time, Jarrell. Yep. I need to see Baker be a leader. And right now, this fourth quarter is going to determine who he is. So, gentlemen, I appreciate y'all jumping on with me for this episode of the Sports Arena. Again, Jarrell Heslip, Jarrell Journals Podcast. Make sure you check him out. This brother's got a lot of good stuff going on. And as always, the future Dr. Jarrell Heslip, my brother. Hey, much love. We'll be definitely talking soon. My man, Joe Carlino, DTSN with the Falcons, brother. Much love to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk to you real soon. And as always, my brother, Michael Caratanudo, Believe in the Pac-12 podcast. Hey, man, Cleveland's going to get it done. And like I said, when they do, I'm putting the APB out. Alex Fleming, where are you? Hey, peace.